Hello guys, this is Shining Noctiles, reporting in a wee bit after midnight after a 800-mile day round trip from Post Falls, Idaho to all the way to Shelby, Montana. And I gotta say, it it was a lot bigger of an experience than I thought it was gonna be. I Uh, I had originally planned to go to Shelby, Montana because, um, it looked like a decent, place from, the videos I saw and from pictures of houses I saw there. They were at pretty affordable rates, and a couple of the realtors I talked to in that area, they were very amiable and very uh, welcoming and kind-hearted people, and I really do believe that. It's just I I didn't recognize just uh, how much of a change it would be from traveling those 400 miles even just one way. Um, and I also had to go through at least 3 to 4 different mountain passes as well, and a lot of rocky roads. My car is still in decent shape. I just have to clean the front of it tomorrow because it got quite a bit of gunk on it. But yeah, and I also unfortunately ran into a squirrel on my way back. I did it by accident. It was on the road and I was driving, and I wasn't able to stop in time to kind of prevent it from happening, which was a shame. But um, when things like that happen, we just have to, just allow spirits and allow the ravens and crows and the guides of death to just bring it down to earth, or return it back to source so it can uh, return to the earth and return to source peacefully, uh, despite a brief instance of cutting the cord, as it were. And I think that the reason why I drove all the way to Shelby is because I felt that there was just a reason behind it, a spiritual kind of, experience where. Oh, and I also wanted to make good on, I told Michaela, the realtor who was gonna go and see me. I told her that, I was gonna go and, probably be there at 5 o'clock. Uh, except what I didn't realize is that Montana time is in Mountain Time, and the part of Idaho I'm in is in Pacific Time. So I kind of lost an hour. So I told her, when I was in Missoula, that's I probably would be there around 6. Except when I went on the highway east and north to Shelby, on one of the mountain passes, they were doing a wee bit of road work, and suffice it to say, I did have to wait 20 to 30 minutes for that. And by the time I arrived at Shelby, Michaela, was pretty, um, she was kind of had a time commitment at 7:30 that evening, And even though she said she would have seen me later, and which was very kind of her, I really do appreciate her saying that. I just told her that after driving that far and after uh, just really taking in the energy of the area, I just told her that I really did appreciate her, um, welcoming me with open arms, and I really did appreciate her, being very patient and understanding with me. But I just told her that, you know, it just may not be the right time for me to go there, or it may, or it may not just be the right place for me, I guess. And she was understanding of that, and I wanted to, really thank her for the time she spent with me because, she spent a fair amount of hours, talking with me on the phone, and I did tell her I was gonna go there, and I did, but I I think I'm glad I went on that trip, or on this trip rather, because it really it really showed me uh, I guess what home really means to me, I guess. Like, because sometimes when you live in a certain town for a wee while, sometimes like, after time wears on, you can kind of see things about it you may not like about it, and sometimes we need to get out of town, just to kind of spread our wings. Um, but I recognize that, after driving so far away from Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls and out into the more into the really wilderness and highline areas of Montana, I just, even when I, went to a couple of the gas stations and said hello to the people, they were fairly nice. There was a station in, I think it's called, let me check here. Want to make sure I get this right for you guys. Rodson, I think it's Rodson, Montana. No, there's a name with R in Montana. Yeah, so I believe it's no. So it was a wee town that I went to, and then on my way back I filled gas there. Let me check a map here. So to give you guys an idea of how far I went. So we'll go to the map here. So I went from here, oops, my bad. I'll do that again. Okay. So I went from my apartment complex here, which is in Post Falls. It's kind of a rural farmland area close to the Idaho-Washington border. So I went from here, went through Coeur d'Alene, went through the mountainous roads here. That was at least hundreds of miles of it, or at least 200 miles. So yeah, I did that, and let's see, where is Missoula? So, yeah, let's see here. There's Kalispell, so that was an exit I could have taken. Oh wow, I guess I did go through Rust Glacier. Or did I? No, 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 no. I didn't go that way. I went, so, my bad. The GPS is wrong, I guess. So, no, so, I actually went, I went through Kellogg, I went through Wallace, and then through Superior, and then Missoula's down here, and then I took, 532 East, which, oh, so that took me through here. Yeah. So no, no, I didn't go that way. Lincoln. Just trying to find the town I'm trying to mention to you guys. Sims. Augusta. Oh, I think it was Lincoln. Yeah, I think that was the town. Yeah, because Shelby's here, Rowdy, Dutton. Um, 80, 15, 200. So yeah, it was Lincoln. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the town's name. So yeah, you know, I walked into the gas station because sorry if that sorry if that explanation was a wee bit long. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a perspective of how far I went. But yeah, so I went into the gas station in Lincoln, and because I did, wanted to, like, I could have gotten gas in Missoula, but you know, I figured Lincoln was a good place to stop because it seemed uh, fairly friendly, and I got out of the car and I you know tried to put my card into the little card reader uh, mm, like uh, like we normally do. But I guess for that gas station in particular, they preferred to take payments inside, so I went inside and I waited in line for around a wee minute, and then I spoke to one of the workers there. I think she was a uh, CAD register worker, and she was a very nice lady, and I just told her where I was from, and or that I was taking a wee bit of a excursion, albeit a long one. I told her how many miles I went, and she was like, "Oh wow, seems like you got a lot of miles under your belt." I was like, "Yes, I do," and she was like, "Well," then I was like, I just told her about the thing about paying paying inside for gas, and she said that yeah, I'll take care of it for you in a jiffy. And then she activated the gas pump outside, and I was able to use it, and I was able to fill up my tank, and I went back, and she was very amiable, and she gave me back my card, and yeah, it was pretty good. And so after that, she wished me a safe drive home, just like Michaela did, which was nice. And as far as my drive was concerned, it was a wee bit treacherous at times. I will say, as the sun started going down, uh, at first I was like, yeah, this is gonna be tough, but I'm gonna keep going. And even though it was a little bit daunting, I never really feel like I was exactly alone. I'm very much into spirituality, Wicca, Celtic mythology. A lot of those things just speak to me, and I felt like um, that my feminine shadow was there, just guiding me home. She didn't want me to she didn't want me to think I had to do it all alone getting home. She was very just very reassuring, you know, and she guided me with her voice, and she soothed me to the point where I was able to get safely home, and you know, she was kind of like the illuminating eyes of a raven, you know, where, and there were quite a couple of ravens on the road actually, which is quite interesting. But yeah, she just wanted me to know I didn't have to do it all alone, you know, and I think after driving that far, um, I guess I recognized what I was leaving behind in Kootenai County, or where I live in Post Falls. Oh, and even though I wasn't necessarily leaving it behind, you know, I when I heard her voice, it just kind of helped me recognize, you know, home is so much more than just a building, you know. Uh, home is how you feel in a place, how you feel with the people around you, how you just connect with the land, and just the overall atmosphere, you know. I mean, property values go up and down, but you know, I think just when she spoke to me, it really helped me understand what home truly is, you know. That that I don't have to always do it all alone, you know. And she wanted to make sure I got home safely because, you know, it was quite a treacherous road, and I guess she wanted to make sure I didn't get hurt or anything, which I definitely do appreciate. And I hope that the squirrel who was passed away today, I hope that the Morgan and the ravens and crows can return it to the underworld peacefully, so it will have some rest as it returns to source. And even though, you know, I had a wee bit of a different experience today, I would say I almost felt like I did return to source as well, you know. I felt like hearing her voice kind of helped me come home, you know, and coming home was kind of coming back to source, and it it just it really spoke to me, like just those, you know, those miles and miles of road, of plains and mountains, and at times I was the only one there for miles and miles and miles. I was the only car in that vast open land, and she just wanted me to know that I wasn't all alone, you know. And I think that really helped me find the strength to continue going forward and to finally return home. I think I think that um, I think that, you know, I don't think I probably wouldn't have gotten as far in life as I think I would have without her help, you know. I know in my other videos I mentioned about my experiences with the Morgan, the Feminine Shadow, Crone, Raven, and things like that. But I really do believe she's been there with me for so many years now. And even though it's been an ethereal presence, and more so like a telepathic or otherly dimensional kind of experience, connection with her, she just really cares about me, you know, and she really helped me find my wings, you know, find my strength, find my inner flame, my just it helping me find the strength to resurrect myself, because there was a time in my life where I really felt shattered, I felt helpless, I felt in despair, I felt like I couldn't find a way forward. But she was there for me. Even when I felt in chains, even when I felt in a rage, even when I felt fury, she helped calm me, and it just, she just helped me recognize I didn't have to do it all alone, and she, even though I tend to, mm, uh, tend to be, mm, try my best to, hang in there and be a strong man that, I'd like to be for myself and, um, you know, for those around me. It's just, sometimes even I have my limits, and she understands that, and I think, I just think that, I think that, sorry about that, I'm just trying to find a way to describe this, even though it's a wee bit sentimental. I don't usually always, cry, as it were, but I guess this just moment just kind of got me to cry a wee bit. I guess she just, wants me to know that, I don't have to do it all alone. I don't have to carry the burden all by myself all the time. I don't have to be the only one blazing the road. I don't have to be the only one walking all the way up the mountain all by myself. I don't have to be the only one to hold everything together, You know, she just wants to know that she wants me to know that she will be there to support me, and there will be other people who will be there to help support me too, and even though I prefer to be independent and I prefer to, blaze my own path, and I prefer to, um, have my own space, so to speak, I also recognize that it's important to share yourself with other people you can trust, because sometimes when you've been let down, or you've had a disappointing events happen in your life and people leave you, sometimes it really feels like you're all alone, and I really felt like that for a time when I felt like I was in the underworld, and she just wanted me to know that, I just didn't have to, I didn't have to, I didn't have to go through it all alone, that she'd be there to help guide me, and and she She just wanted me to know that even in dark times when you feel like that, you're either in a wintry landscape where there's no one around you, or in a desolate landscape, that there is still someone there, and I think that that does bring some comfort, and I'm glad I did return home, because there are people here that matter to me, like my kid cat, my friends, and my mom and her boyfriend still live here, and even other people that I connect to on the internet that still matter to me. I mean, if I didn't return home safely, I mean, they probably would be a wee bit sad, and it's just it's just one of those things to where it really touched me. It really was a deep experience, because when you're out there alone on those plains or on those mountains, and you're the only one there, and you're doing it for miles and miles and miles, um, far away from home. It can really be daunting. It can really be challenging. But she just wanted me to know that she was there with me, and I really do appreciate that. And even though I do enjoy hiking, and I usually do enjoy going out in the woods by myself, uh, you know, even if it's whether it's 20 miles in town, or 50 miles in the Idaho Panhandle forest, or the forest in northeast Idaho. You know, even though I'm hiking alone on the trail, it's not like I'm truly alone. And I guess even though I would say I do like the solitude of the forest. I mean, you know, although she lets me, have it, because something I enjoy connecting with, and I believe it's a part of the element that I see healthily connecting with, as Canunos or the Stag Warrior would. You know, she lets me have that time, which I appreciate. But she's still there for me, and I think that you know there's definitely a difference between peace and solitude, or peacefully enjoying the outdoors by yourself, or maybe not exactly by yourself, but at least uh, calm and peaceful in your own company. And then there's another thing where where you just kind of just feel a wee bit lonely on some of the road, and and yeah, I think, yeah, hiking is definitely a wee bit different for me. I guess with hiking, I think with the forest, at least especially around here, they definitely do feel like a second home to me. So whenever I go to them, I don't ever really feel like I'm leaving home. I mean, I'm leaving civilization, but it's not like I'm actually leaving home, because it's just kind of like a second home for me. I know sometimes some of the people I meet around here, some of them are like, why aren't you carrying a gun? Why aren't you carrying bear spray? Why aren't you carrying this? Why aren't you carrying that? And I'm like, well, I just don't really see things that way. And I've been coming up here for a wee while now, like around 20 years now, and my mother was actually the first one who got me introduced me to hiking, because I didn't wasn't really into that, but she introduced me to it, and ever since I've just really enjoyed being in the forest, and my I'm sure my Celtic ancestors, when they went to the forest, they probably felt like it was also a second home to them too, and as well as Canunos who had who was the one who found balance between the primal and or the beast and the human civilization and wilderness. Um, so yeah, I think that the forest is definitely more so second home for me for sure. I guess that's why I don't really feel like that even when I go into the forest. That I feel like that I'm uh, again leaving home or feel lonely or anything like that because the forest is a second home to me, and sometimes I don't know how everyone's into this, but sometimes I feel like I hear fairies when I go into the forest, and even though it's not like I have a direct connection with all of them. They seem to welcome me as well as the trees and the wind and even the mountains in a way. And so yeah, it's definitely a very different feeling. You I know once probably some people feel spooked out going into the forest because, as I've heard, most people you know would or either uh, intimidated by a potential um, attack by a wolf, cougar, or bear, which is understandable. But I guess for me, while I've never met a cougar or wolf in close proximity, I have met bears a couple of times in close proximity. One of them was climbing my mother's balcony, but this or no, it's climbing the tree overlooking uh, overlooking my mom's balcony. And that was 15 years ago, but he was fairly close. And I remember there was another time in the not in the Rockies, but in the Smoky Mountains. I remember being on a hike, and I was with a couple of other people, but I just saw a bear. I didn't. He wasn't facing me, but his butt was just hanging out, and he was just eating berries, and he didn't bother us. And the other time I met a bear in close proximity was actually in Hyder, Alaska, which is like a very small section of Alaska bordering British Columbia, I believe. Um, and yeah, so there was a grizzly bear. He was under a bridge and eating salmon. At the time, I actually got some pretty close photos of him. There were other people there, but he didn't seem to bother us. So yeah, and then as far as like animals, I have met in close proximity in the wilderness. I will say, and I might have shared the story before, but when I went down Campfield Mountain um, last year, I believe, my mom's boyfriend and another guy was there with me, but we went down the mountain and I stopped, and they were wondering why I stopped because I guess they thought it was an odd thing to do. But then, 10 seconds later, a big 10-foot mama moose came from the wind of the trail and they were a wee bit, my mom's boyfriend and the other guy, uh, they were a wee bit skittish, but I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she just drank some water from the stream and just went up the trail, no problem. And, you know, although that isn't necessarily like a bear or any of the other stuff, or wolf or cougar, um, you know, I have read reports that, more people are. It's okay, little kitty. Just my cat meowing. More people are fatally injured or pass away from interactions with deer and moose than they are with cougars, wolves, or bears. I heard that. Um, I guess your incident of getting, I think from this one person on YouTube. He was a hiker who actually met a cougar in close proximity, um, and he seemed to take it pretty well. He kind of joked about, your chances of becoming president is 1 in 10 million, and your chances of getting harmed by a cougar is 1 in 35 million. So it says, I think he made a joke about don't become, I don't want to say don't become a cougar, but I think he said something like, uh, instead of, you know, uh, worrying about, getting attacked by a cougar, you should focus more on becoming president instead, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, so the moral of the story is, I mean, most of these animals aren't as bloodthirsty or vicious as people think they are. At least with the encounters I've had with them. I mean, maybe there will be an instance where eventually I will, potentially meet, an animal that may be a wee bit more aggressive, but when the time comes, we'll find a suitable way to deal with that. I just don't think that you have to carry a gun or even necessarily bear spray to handle that. I just think I carry a wooden stick with me whenever I go hiking. And even though some people were like, "What, wooden stick? That won't do anything." But I just think it's a decent form of protection, or at least also helps me uh, you know uh, hike well when I go up in the mountains, because sometimes it gets a wee bit snowy even when it's not winter, and you want to make sure that you know you don't slide on the snow too much, and if you do, always remember to slide on your butt, because usually that's the safest way uh, to cushion an impact when you fall. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I don't. I just don't. Um, I just don't really feel need to be as kind of out of the element. And I think that's the one thing I like about Wicca and Celtic mythology is they really balance, especially if you study about canoodles, but even Oregon to an extent, they really try to balance the primal, uh, primal with the human element and wilderness with civilization, and I think it's really important for people to have at least some sense of comfort with the wilderness, or some sense of just inner peace with it, because you know I'm sorry to recognize there are some people where there's just a huge disconnect between um, wilderness and civilization, or primal and or beast versus human, I guess. Where some people even get spooked out when they see a deer, and I just think that it's just part of nature, and even though you don't necessarily have to live, in the forest or in the dead center of nature, 24/7. Um, it's just good. It's good to have a balance of it. It's good to just because the residents of the forest, they're residents as well, and just even though they're not exactly human, you just have to just find other ways to handle the situations in a more healthier manner, I believe. Because I mean, if you could handle the situation where instead of there being 100 dead moose or cougar, wolves or bears in the vicinities, you know, you handle the situation where you and the other animal of the forest just go about your separate ways, And it really does take some comfort, though, or I'm trying to see how to describe it. You really have to be willing to at least connect or be comfortable with some of your primal energy to be okay, at least with interacting with these occurrences. And I think it's really important to do, because uh, it just, I believe it will help you navigate not only your situations with animals better, but maybe even as well as with your fellow man as well, because a lot of emotions like anger, frustration, uh, a lot of those things are protective mechanisms, that uh, that were utilized uh, whenever people used to face the dangers of the wilderness in the past. But I think that it's important to have a healthy balance of that. Just a healthy kind of peace within yourself and peace in the forest. Sometimes I just like to sit in the forest, and there'll be other people hiking, and they'll say, "Huh," give me a quizzical look. It's like, "Why are you sitting in the forest?" And I'll just tell them, "Well, I just like sitting here." And they'll say, "Okay," and they'll go up their happy way, and yeah, it's just kind of just a second, like second home to me. And yeah, so I know I went off a bit on a tangent on that. I know this video was mainly about the 800 miles I took and the spiritual experience I had with it. But I figured I'd also mention the second home of the forest and my own interactions with that as well, just to give you guys a kind of understanding of my viewpoint on that, because the forest is part of North Idaho and Montana, or at least western Montana for the most part. And I think it'd be good to it would be good to share that, because I think for me home, and the reason why I like North Idaho so much, even though housing prices have become a wee bit expensive as of late, at least for the common man, is because I feel like the longer I live here, the more the mountains, the forests, the streams, the lakes, the ruralness becomes a part of me. It just kind of, I just feel like I become one with the earth here. One with nature here. And, even though there may be a time where, I may eventually go somewhere else, and even though I've kind of recognized, Montana just may not be the place for me, for better or for worse, you know, um, eventually if I drive to another place or eventually find another place and, it speaks to me just as much as this place does or has its own unique meaning to it, then, it may be interesting to at least, explore it as well. But I guess after making that 800-mile drive, I'm probably not gonna go to too many other places for a wee while now, or as far as like far away. If only because I'm starting to recognize what home really means to me, and for now, I think even though I don't own any property here. I have been renting a garage apartment here for over a year now, and rent's pretty fair. It's under 1,200, a little under 1,200 a month currently if you add cat rent and water, sewer, and garbage. And it's a really nice place. I mean, I have a really good connection, fairly good relationship or amiable relationship with the landlord or landlady. I'm not sure his or her gender, but and they pretty much treat me like a homeowner in a sense, even though I don't own it. But it really does feel like home to me because I feel like every penny I spend on just living here and maintaining this home as a or building or house has been worth it. Because that's the other thing too. When I was going to Shelby, again, Michaela was very amiable, very friendly, very professional. But she did tell me that, the house I was looking into, it was a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 660 square feet. They had I guess the owner recently had done a fair bit of remodeling, and you know, she told me that I myself went into the house before, and I noticed that s- you know some parts of the house, most notably the garage, looks a bit rough, and the house was originally abandoned, and it recently got she told me it was recently bought by someone who would renovate it in order to flip it. And she was telling me that the guy was I guess currently working on repairing the electricity. uh, but yeah, when she told me that, I also recognized, well, and that's the thing too, like, you know if, even though a lot of people say rent is a waste of money and you're flushing money down a toilet, you gotta recognize, when you need to get something repaired in your apartment, usually you just call the landlord or landlady, and if they're pretty responsive, or do a decent job in taking care of the neighborhood, they'll usually send someone out in a jiffy and help you fix it, and that's usually what happens with, at least with the complex I'm in right now, is, I will, whenever I have an issue, I put in a work order, and, within a day or two, uh, you know, a maintenance worker will come and will pretty much help me fix the problem just handedly. And most of the maintenance workers I've met here, I've had pretty good relationships with, or relations with. Whether it was Mark, Dave, or Mitch, they just really helped me a lot whenever you know my apartment was in a it was in a pinch, and I really, really do appreciate that. So yeah, that's the one thing people just have to recognize. I know people were kind of running around with their heads chopped off, with the housing crisis at the moment, and some people were trying to buy houses as fast as they can because they think that home prices are going to continue going up and going up and up and up and up, as the years go by. But honestly, I don't really see that being the case, and it seems like some of the realtors that I've spoken to don't think that will continue to be the case either. Um, I noticed even in my area, even though they're not anything fancy, there was a cabin. Even though it's still kind of a wee bit out of my price range, unless if I get a mortgage. Um, it went down from 160 to 130,000. Then there was another place, 2 bedroom, 1 bath mobile home, went from 180 to 150,000. So I think you just got to be patient. I know what they're saying in the news, like it may seem crazy with COVID, riots, protests, the 9 yards, but it's fairly quiet here, and even though it has gotten a little bit busier the past year or two, um, I think things will eventually quiet down. I mean, they're building more units in the area, which I think will help keep the prices relatively affordable for the locals here, or at least the low to middle income locals. And I guess with how long I've been living here now, I guess I am essentially a local now, especially because I've also been coming up here for 20 years, so, or at least maybe half local, at least half Idahoan at this point for sure. But yeah, uh, I just think that things will balance out. I don't think things are as grim as they look. I know it seems like on the news and in the marketplace right now for housing, it seems like things are, you know, out of control. But just like with any storm, you just kind of wait for things to wait for the storm to pass and just stay strong with the earth, and eventually it will pass, and the skies will be clear again. And I think right now, what a lot of people need, even myself, is just a wee bit of patience. And I think as I've lived here longer now, and bear in mind, with also renting, I just feel like my desire for buying a house is kind of, or my need, so to say, to buy a house, it's just kind of gone down. I mean, it's not like I don't ever want to buy one, but it's not like I have to have one, or else I'm gonna, or else I'm going to, what do you call it? I don't want to say have a nervous breakdown, but I don't know. Some people just can't, are just not comfortable with renting, or they may just not be comfortable waiting, and I understand that. Some people have their priorities, whether they have a family that they feel like they need to get housed, or if they have a number of other things. But I don't know. I even in my complex, I mean, there are families that are renting here, and they seem just fine. So, um, yeah, I just think it's something that where you just have to let things balance out, and just see what happens within the next year. I think especially after going on this trip, it really has kind of helped solidify that. But regardless of prices and whatnot. Regardless of any monetary kind of concerns. I think that you Kootenai County has definitely been a home for me, and but I'm also recognizing, what really is home for me, and that I don't always have to do things all alone, and right, and even though right now fortunately, I'm able to manage my finances well enough to where I can afford a garage apartment all by myself, or not all by myself because I got my kitty cat. He also counts as well. But yeah, so kitty cat and I. But um, but but yeah, like if it ever comes to the point where or if I ever meet someone down the road, or if it ever gets to a situation where it may be helpful to get a bigger space, I can also recognize that I don't have to foot all the bills, and that I can share it with someone who would also be willing to share with me, and be willing to help support me, and I support her. So, yeah, I think that's a really important mindset to have. I know some people, um, and even myself at one point in time, you know, used to have this mindset where, if you are a provider or breadwinner for a house or home, regardless of who lives with you, you should just be the main one, just still kind of taking care of all the bills, and taking care of everything else. But I think after going on this path, and I mean going on this trip and having my feminine shadow speak with me as she has for so many years now, I recognize that just with spiritual and emotional kind of concerns, where she wanted to be there with me, that can also trickle down to monetary kind of concerns too, and I think that yeah, I think it's really important to be open enough to accept help, because I think if you try to do everything all by yourself, even if you have someone living with you, then it just kind of creates a division, so to speak. And I think that allowing yourself to be helped, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, monetarily, sharing resources, I think is a good thing. I think that does help breed a wee bit more trust, and a wee bit more just care for one another, especially during hard times. And while I know that's not necessarily for everyone, I think that for me it's probably a healthy way to go about it, because you just can't always do everything all by yourself. So, anyways, guys, I know that was a pretty long video. I know it was around an hour long, and I probably should head to bed, because I've been up all day, and I don't want to become too sleep deprived, as it were. I also want to make sure I have a wee bit of the afternoon at least to clean the front of the car tomorrow, so it's not always so it won't be covered with splats and stuff like that, or scat when I go back into town. Uh, you know, I think I think that would be a good thing, and I'm really glad I went on this journey. For the amount of gas I paid and for the $6 to $7 I paid. I know I'm talking about finances again, but for around the 70 to at most $80 I spent on this trip after gas and food is calculated, and you can add. Uh, I'm not adding the gas per mileage or the mileage for the car, so to say, like 54 cents a mile or any of that, because I don't want to get too technical about it. So, but just for the $80, for the that I spent going on this trip, I feel like that's the best $80 I've ever spent in my entire life. Um, I mean, you could give me a you could give me 1,000 collector's editions of White Knight Chronicles or Phantasy Star Online, and I would still choose the 80 the experience I chose by going to Shelby and back. I feel like that's worth far more than what any gold or silver could ever offer, to be honest. I really do. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys all have a good rest of the day or evening, or it's evening for me, but if you're watching this in the day or afternoon, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, afternoon, evening, and I hope you all take care. Peace.